So I held the first Africa Science Week in Uganda a couple of weeks ago. The Africa Science Week is just a celebration of science and scientists across Africa that the next Einstein Forum does. It's a week-long celebration led by the ambassadors in the different countries, in the African countries. And so our week happened in the last week of September. So cuts across all age groups, just help society appreciate how science impacts on their life and how it's improving their life generally. But during the week, one question I kept getting was, so what do you do, who are you? And it was just like driving back to Korea. How did you get here? Why do you love science? Or, why are you championing science? I honestly also had to stop and wonder, at what point did I decide that I wouldn't simply go? Yeah, but no, I mean, I've done science since forever. But at what point did I decide that, I shouldn't just sit in a laboratory and just practice my chemistry? At what point did I decide to go into what I'd probably call like science advocacy, which is kind of strange because I never cared for these things in school. I liked to take a back seat, do my work. Through it. Yeah, do my classwork, pass, and we're good. I hang out with my friends and we're, so I never liked like a front seat to any of these things. I had to, stop, and I'm not very good at lying, to say, I've always wanted to do this and I've always wanted to see people get more involved. I was a child.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
I knew she was going to be an advocate.
Yeah, no. Not at all. So it got me wondering, in Uganda, people say career guidance. What they mean by that is bring those forms, the forms that have all the courses for universities when you're in like S6 and you're about to pick out what courses you want to do at the uni, and then they bring them to school with a couple of people to say, in Makerere, this is what they offer. In Chambogo, this is what they offer. You see, but that's only for filling out job forms. So I mean, like, what constitutes career?
Everything.
Yes, I remember this stuff.
It just reminded me that we had career guidance.
Yeah, but is that career guidance?
I think that for me, I don't know if it's the same for a lot of people. I don't think that I really thought about career or something that it's something I've kind of figured out along the way.
Yes.
Yeah. I studied information technology at the university, and that came at the right time, because then I was so fascinated by computers and things like that, so I found myself there, and I enjoyed it. But then after uni, I was like, programming, nah, networking, nah, like, what am I going to do exactly? So while I was in that phase of after uni, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do, social media happened. Yeah. And it wasn't even like something you were doing as a job. You just enjoyed it, like being on your phone all the time and things like that, until someone, I was also writing. That was a hobby. So someone gave me a chance, like, hey, how about you start to write, like get paid to write about certain topics? And so I was like, oh, so this is a thing.
Yes.
Okay. So I did it. Actually got my first million from that.
Wow.
Yeah, like I saw like, oh, this is a thing. No one knows about this thing. And then I got my first job at a media house, and that's what I've been doing. And then now I'm like linking everything that I know, my IT, my social media things, my everything is like, I'm putting everything in place, and I'm kind of doing what I like. I mean, even this. So
do you see yourself build a career out of this, out of digital communications?
Yes, definitely. It's something I want to see going far, especially in our Ugandan context where we are still crawling, but that's
we'll run.
Really want to see it go.
Wow, I can't relate to you guys, because me, I'm still figuring things out. No, I didn't have anything I wanted to do. Every time they asked me what do you want to do, I had a long list of things, and things kept changing. Like if I'd see, this is interesting. So very many things are very interesting. So obviously, there comes high school, and we have the Ugandan story. My parents decided
Okay.
I hope my parents are not watching. But they kind of did.
Decided
Yeah,
what
they
you
kind of
did.
did. So I think they suggested I do a course on campus that, well, I found out later I did not enjoy at all. But anyway.
Which course is that? That you did?
Architecture. And
Oh,
yeah,
man.
it is.
Did you pass your portfolio paper?
We should not talk about that.
We had so
Yeah,
many
so,
stories about portfolios.
Yeah, crazy. Very interesting course, but yeah, it will work you.
Yeah.
So along the way, I found out that I like construction. So I have been doing that, but it's not like I wake up in the morning and it's just I have to do work. I have to work. So have I thought of career? No, I have never thought about a career.
So you're just going along and doing the next job.
I am like the drivers. You bring a job, I can do it.
You do it.
You bring a job, I can do it. And it's kind of sad because I just found out what a career is, and I think every human being should what? Every human being, just based on the fact that we have brains, should always strive to, like, for self-improvement.
But
And
why career anyway? Because, you know, some people may think, I'm doing just fine, or I'm still leaving a mark, or I'm still doing good even without...
I'm making my money.
Yeah, making money without being very aware or
Whatever comes.
like building
is.
just one line. I
we need
think
to
it's
define
working.
what a career is.
It's working.
Such that like we gain more appreciation of why.
Well, dictionaries typically define careers as you know, an occupation or, you know, profession that you know, one serves in for a prolonged period of time. Usually there's an opportunity for growth or what we call like promotions.
If you're asking why, and you have just talked about your, you know, your journey on science and whatnot, and that's, I'm assuming that's what you want, that's your career and whatnot. So maybe to answer why are you doing this science thing and whatnot, and maybe that will kind of give us an idea of maybe why also other people do
Why
certain
people
things
should
and what-
should
is
go
it for
ahead.
their money? Is it like what do you derive from
Money
this
is
thing?
good.
It is not bad at
Money is
all.
good.
What is around.
What drives you, like, to be like,
To
this,
be-
this is what I've decided I'm going to do for the rest of my life. These are the steps I'm going to take to see that I get better at it, or whatever, for whatever reason you're doing it. Why are you doing it?
So first of all, to say this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life is getting ahead of myself. But I would be happy to do this for a really long time. So me, you know, championing and like doing science advocacy and going out and also doing these things that I'm telling people to do, I really didn't start out like that. After doing chemistry, I practiced for 9 months after uni. I practiced for 9 months, and then I just found myself thinking, I bore easily. So I thought, am I going to do the same thing in these laboratories, you know, year after year? I would be happy doing chemistry in, say, like a research center in a research lab where, you know I take on something, create something new, move on to the next thing, like improve existing processes or products. I would be happy with that. But where I was at, production, I just figured I would bore real easy, because to like run the same tests on things from January until January means that I could tell the pH of like a sample by just looking at it after 8 months. And that's not, and so for me that's not something that I was happy with, and I wouldn't be happy just coming from, say, as associate, like quality assurance associate, into like manager, into the titles and all of that. They really don't impress me. But the reason I got into what I'm doing now was, for me, the realization that my class at the university that had 54 students had only 13 girls. And it had never occurred to me, because when you go to single school, no one says you can't do this or you can't do that. All the classes have girls.
Yeah.
So, but also for me, that realization that, wait, out of the 13 girls that are in those classes, but you even see it in other science courses, more than half of them come from single schools. Maybe because they were just never stopped from doing whatever they needed to do. For me, that understanding, I started to try and find answers and think, why weren't other girls doing this stuff? Because the girls that I went to school with are brilliant. They're brilliant scientists and technologists. So like probing those questions like got me into that understanding of the gender divide in science.
You like mental challenges
Yes.
and finding new things.
Yes, but then for me now, at that point, I just thought, how am I ever going to help the situation working in a laboratory? My work may inspire a couple of people who will find out about me, but how? What happens to the other girls?
Like
then tech was just a thing at that point.
Also, being a person who has just now thought
Understood
about a career.
career.
Yeah, who has just, because you know, just saying career or career woman has very negative connotations that come with it.
Oh, wow.
I was actually telling
You're
someone that as soon as you hear,
it never even crosses my mind.
you want to be a man.
Negative implications.
Actually, they say nekolera jange. Or a woman. I know.
People use it in other
There's a
ways.
Uganda term for the women who take care of themselves. Anyway.
Yes, nekolera jange. That's
So
it.
yeah, so when you hear career woman, it's like, it's going to be that woman. She's not married. Her marriage failed.
wow.
As in those connotations. Sometimes, every time I hear like career woman, so I didn't delve deeper to find out like what's career guidance. I don't know what they told me. So now taking it from there, okay, after learning that career is like how you explain, like you start from like say baseline and you can keep growing and keep getting better and better and better at something, which I feel like is a story of humanity. Because I was just wondering what differentiates us from horses, because horses are work animals and donkeys are work animals. What differentiates us? And I think the thing that differentiates us is the fact that we think and can develop and make things better. If we've been thrown into a very imperfect world, how do we make things, how do we keep polishing things and get better at things and create things that are actually beautiful? So for me, the thing that like wakes me up is, okay, so there's this thing I'm doing that maybe I do not really like doing, but I can cause a change in the area I am at.
Yeah.
So how do I apply my brain? And hence, like if I've said I'm going to do it for, say maybe 5, 10, 15 years, that will be my career for these number of years. And how do I keep pushing the boundaries?
When you talked about getting better, it kind of brought this question in my mind of how do you get better? Like at what point do you realize, okay, I need to improve?
Like I become a pro?
Yeah.
Or I need to become pro?
Improve, I need to become pro, or something like that. Like, you know, for example, like in the corporate world, people say, it's time that now I get a master's, for example. Or it's time that I add this on my like I cannot, for example, say I am a media expert when I haven't worked in a media, or when I haven't even written an article, when I don't know how to do certain things. Like, how do you know that this is time to
get better,
to add some skills, and how do you improve?
What are the avenues for improvement?
Yeah. So me, I don't know, because I'm in a transition stage, I guess, like trying to figure things out of how do I move from where I am, and I guess that's where Faith comes in.
We are here at Olive's Restaurant and Bar in Naguru, opposite the surgery, which is our new home. Come through, visit this beautiful place for great pizza and really nice whiskey.
Thank you for joining us, Faith.
You're welcome.
I know that you do career coaching and career development for people, children and adults, and the other people after adults. Yes. So we were having a conversation earlier about, career and career development. And Patricia asked an important question about at what point we know that we should improve, progress in our careers. If it's, say, take a master's course or master in something, at what point do we know to move?
Yeah, that it's time.
So you as an expert, at what point should we move from wherever we are at and add on to whatever knowledge we have in whatever profession?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I'll answer it in two ways. One, do you already appreciate the path that you are on? And is that the path that you want to grow in?
And if you don't?
So I'll also approach it from that angle.
Yeah.
So if you already know the path that you are on and you appreciate it, then the point where you start to feel you want to do something that's more challenging, at that point that's when you'd want to grow in your skill set.
Yeah.
So you will either look for a job that expands your skill set, or you're also going to look into studying so that you can be able to expand your skill set, and be able to apply it when you get that particular job. So at the point where you feel you need to do greater than what you are currently doing, because usually when you get a new job, you have that excitement of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And so when it starts to wear out and you feel like you need to do greater than that, then...
So you mean we shouldn't just take master's courses as soon as we're done with our bachelor's programs? Because you know, nowadays, you know, the minute you graduate from university, guys are just like, that's not enough. And now you need to just go and do your master's.
So I disagree with that kind of path, because if you just jump into doing a master's program, you really don't know even what you're mastering in. You are just building knowledge that you may not even apply, and you're wasting time with building just books.
So you advocate for you recognizing a need for something to be mastered.
First. Fantastic. You have to first figure out, okay, so why do I need to study? Then you take on a course that you're going to study. If you just jump into it, one, what's going to happen is you're going to, maybe after you're done studying, you'll now look for a job in that area, or you may not even get a job in that area.
Or you may not get the promotion
at all.
So, Faith, picking up from what you've just been saying, I feel like, we said the question kind of midway, because prior to that, there's the choosing of a career. There's you identifying that, okay, this is the area I would like to spend a long time developing in. How do we do that?
Given that we don't have the manuscript to life, so you just will not wake up and say, I'm going to be a doctor, or I'm going to be this kind of thing. You may not, some people may know it early in life, some may not, but there's no one standard path for everyone. So it's important to appreciate the process in figuring out the career. For example, it's important that maybe as a child, that your parents start you on a discovery path earlier than later in life. For example, in my S6 vacation, my mom got me into banking. And
in
S6 vacation. So I did, in my whole vacation, I did 8 months of banking, and I moved from department to department to department.
What bank allowed you to do what?
Anyways, I was working for a bank in my S6 vacation, and during that time, I realized that, okay, this is not what I want, this is not what I want, and I was not 100% certain about what I wanted, but I started to figure out what I did not want. And then the one thing that I was passionate about is working with people. At least that is something that I identified. What career is working with people? I have no idea at that point. So then I get into campus and I do business administration and management, and start to see how I can use the knowledge that I'm now getting to apply the things that I was doing. So things start to form up. And so during that time, I start to mentally take notes of, okay, what is this? How do I develop myself? And second year campus, I get an internship with a different bank. And I was at a place where I wanted to find out, do I want to major in finance and accounting? Do I want to major in marketing? Do I want to major in procurement? At that time, I didn't want to do finance and accounting, but when I went into the bank, I was assigned to a department that was not finance and accounting. I made friends with someone who was in finance and accounting. I spoke with her. I said, can you teach me what you are doing? Then she told me, come here 6:30 in the morning. Between 6:30 and 7:30, I'll take you through everything that I'm doing. Then 7:30, we all go back to our different responsibilities. So during that time, I saw the things that she was doing. Let me tell you, every time the girl was speaking, would be like, Faith, now the Excel sheet does this. And what, she had so much joy, she was glowing. My lesson then was, I have to do something that glows me. I'm not going to compete with anyone who is passionate about what they are doing and who is growing in their passion. That was in my second year campus. Now I'm an investment analyst and a career and education advisor. But I did not figure that out just in one go. So we need to appreciate the process. So we go back to your question. How do you then figure out a career that you are most interested in?
Yeah.
Now you need to expose yourself. Step one. You build exposure through either reading or traveling. Now we even have the internet, watch YouTube. You have to appreciate the process, because several things get into your head and you come under the pressures of, maybe let me do this because mommy is like this.
Let me stop here and first ask. So you speak about passion and people just choosing careers depending on the things that make them glow, the things that give them life. You're Ugandan and you know very well that all of our circumstances are not the same. Some people have greater limitations than others. And so for some people, quite honestly, they don't have the luxury of just saying, oh, let me just go ahead and pursue this thing that makes me glow, especially because a lot of the time either they don't have access to these kinds of opportunities or even that type of education, but also the idea that they need to make ends meet now. They also have 24 hours in the day like we do, so for them to say make ends meet by going to this job that actually does, and then try and like develop this other thing that makes them glow, that's like in what time?
Oh, okay. That's a very good question. Now, it's important that we are sustainable even as we discover ourselves.
Yeah.
So sustainability is key, so that you are not now begging on the street because you're chasing after passion. Now, in the process where, let me say, you are doing maybe a plumbing job, and yet what you have always wanted to be is a stand-up comedian. Very good example. So make sure during the day you're actually doing your work. However, set aside time for you to build your dreams. To build your dreams. Now, one of the reasons why people are conflicted with that is because we have the notion that there is just one path, that you cannot be more than one thing in life. So if you're working, let me say, at a hospital, then your career just has to be maybe medicine. But you can be a doctor and be a writer at the same time. You have no idea
how confusing it is for me to explain my work with Kafunda Creatives and the idea of being a scientist and a science advocate. It's forever confusing people.
Because people have that notion that you just have to be one thing in life. So for example, I'm an investment analyst and I'm passionate about financial models and finance and building businesses. But then I'm also extremely passionate about people, so I do career and education advisory. I teach kids from the ages of 18 to, I've handled people up to like about 35 years old. I mean, from the ages of 8 to about 35. So it's the idea that just because I have a day job, then in the evening, what do you do with your time? So most people run to series, or they're going to run out to do
the bar.
Or different things that are not going to build them.
Run to fellowship.
And then 5 years down the road, you're like, I'm doing this, but I'm not passionate about it. And you are stuck in a job. Many people, when you leave campus, you get into a profession because you have to get money, and then you build that profession because now, 7 years down the road, you are head of procurement, but that was never what you wanted to do, and now you don't even know how to turn back. So the thing is, people think that the decision to grow their lives is in someone else's hands, but we have to take charge. And so for that person who, if you feel that right now during the day you're doing something that you don't like, then in the evening find something that you like. And that is how I developed even my skill in investment analysis. In the evening and over the weekends, I'd meet up with a certain friend who was in a similar situation, and we would grow that skill until it was good enough. We did that for about 3 to 4 years. Then we started to put it out in the market and build people for it.
Okay, Faith, I have a question. And this I ask for the people who do jobs, the people who are purely there for okay, at the moment,
For the job.
it's survival. Survival first.
Mm.
I was talking to a truck driver recently. I was asking, how long have you done it? And he had done it for 15 years. And he didn't speak English. He hadn't gone to school.
Yeah.
And I was just asking him, what's your plan? All his brothers are drivers. And any other brother who will fail in school, okay, because they do not have money to pay for school fees and things like that.
Yes.
So they're all going to be what? Drivers, because they need money. Now, you speak about passion, you speak about things that people want to do. And Nvannungi is talking about the day and having time at night. But I feel like there's some people who don't even think there's such an opportunity. What would you tell such a person who only thinks that it's a survival thing? They only know that to work is to eat, is to get what to eat, and maybe have a little to be a bit comfortable, pay for bills and things like that. But I feel like we have such a huge population that just thinks this is survival. We are in survival mode. There's nothing about, I feel passionate about this. That feels like pure luxury, that I'm just going to do what I feel like, what makes me happy. It's like recreation.
So that goes back to mindset, and mindset is developed in our early stages of life.
But some of us have already skipped.
Yeah, we are
those
many. We
stages.
are
Like,
adults.
Yeah.
We're in the adult stage. So what do we do now?
Okay, now let me first talk about two concepts. One, because I know some people who will be listening, maybe have children, and also run programs with parents, so I know this is also important. If you have a child, it's important to mold them in a way that they understand the reason why we even have a career in the first place. Like you said, it's survival. We need to make money. How do we make money? And that's when you build a career for you to make money. Even if you are doing non-profit, still there's an element of sustainability. You need to make money. So in the case where the whole generation are drivers, they need to understand, is driving what you really want to do, or is it just because now one person was a driver, now I'll continue like that in order to make money? When there's an absence of exposure and mental growth, you will find a repetitive pattern. That's why you find many people like will do something because their parents was something, because that is what they have seen, until you remove them from that bracket and then they start to see other things. So they may think actually driving is what is what is there for money, yet they can do extra things. So usually when people come to me, we have discussions like, what do you do on Saturday, what do you do on Sunday? Because you find that what they do away from money is what they're really passionate about, and that can be monetized
as well.
So what I usually do is now discuss business models with people, like how do you make money from this that you're also passionate about? So most people have jobs where you do Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday. Then on Sunday you're doing something that you're passionate about. So I say, okay, Monday to Saturday, go do what brings in the most money. Then Sunday start to build that. We see this in also developed countries. We find people doing 4 shifts. So the mentality that you are stuck in one thing to make money makes people forget that they can be able to do many more things and grow in also all those other things and make money out of them. But you find that most times you're giving out your service for free. Now that takes us back to early childhood. So most of our parents have taught us maybe spiritual values, have taught us courtesy, kneel down when you're greeting an uncle, say thank you. So when we grow up, you find maybe many people in churches and they are praying, God, give me money. And then you say, or like this, like they're praying for money. They're unrealistic, but they're doing what you taught them. They're going into default mode. And then you find people also, they don't ask money for their services because they feel like that is impolite. They're trying to be nice. But you see, we are going into default mode. So one of the things we are not taught when we are growing up is money. how do we handle money from a young age? Then we get into our 20s, 28, and then you're stuck with career. You don't know what you're doing. So all these things go back to the early age. Now, most of us, we finish school at about 23, 24, yeah? So after that, you really don't know what to do with your life after that, yeah? So understanding where it all started from and saying, okay, I'm not going to play victim. Maybe I didn't learn how to do, I didn't learn how to make money or grow in career, so how do I do it now? But also, we are the people going to give birth to the next generation, so how do we then correct...
Prepare them better.
Yes, how do we prepare them better?